Welcome to Louisiana Heartbeats. I'm Sudie Landry, and I have today my guest, author Carrie Simon. 2 years ago, September 2nd, 2015, Carrie was on our show, and she was sharing with us what her 2 books were about. Book 1 was Save Them All, which you can kind of see on the screen that's a little off at this moment. And then she has book 2, which is Just Find Me. Now, in the last interview that we had put on Facebook and also Acadiana Open Channel, she really did an interview telling us what all was going on then and the publishing steps. But today, I have her on the show so that she can share with you what God has done with one of her books for sure, if not 2 of her books, and maybe, who knows, that 3rd book. She will soon be sharing after we've had a few minutes to talk. She's actually had a movie trailer done that will be shown in a few minutes. But first, welcome to the show, Carrie Simon.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is so great. Thank you for coming. We've actually had such a wonderful conversation before we even got started. And the Lord's done so much for you regarding these books. She's also a child advocate, and I'm not sure if we had put that on the screen or not. But she also has a heart. Any kind of abuse, in her words, is not acceptable. And so, therefore, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's share what Just Find Me is kind of about.
Okay, well, the last time that I was here, Sudie, I was actually approached with the 2nd book that deals with a child who's been kidnapped and parents who are extremely distraught in a race to find him before it's too late. And I was approached by a producer who was interested, and God just opened a door for me to be able to begin maybe putting together a trailer to show him a visual of how that could be as far as mainstream media.
And we are talking about the book Just Find Me at this
That's
time.
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
So even though it's the 2nd book that I actually wrote that in 2015, we began storyboarding that and putting together a trailer. And when we started doing that, we wanted to film it here in Louisiana. We wanted to be able to use local talent and just really encourage filmmaking and writing, and to show the amazing importance of parents being aware, people being aware of child abductions, which ultimately leads into very hot topics such as human trafficking.
Okay, and we want you to speak a little bit louder so they won't miss anything that you have to say.
Sure.
Human trafficking.
Yes.
Lately, that topic is so out there being discussed, and I'm kind of hooked on a show that pretty well deals with a lot of this, and I actually know someone who tried to expose it in her hometown, and it's very hard to get out there facts to back up what's really happening and for people to believe it. Why have you written these books? Why are you making this trailer? Why are you even a child advocate? For those that did not see the first interview.
Well, from a young age, I have been truly broken with the way that children are treated in terrible situations, and so much of a compassion for these children to feel loved and wanted and appreciated. And I don't think people really understand how serious it is. It's something that those that have been abused don't really talk about. And because of it, you have runaways, you have suicide, you have just problems in the world that if we would all become more aware and be more compassionate towards these children. With this 2nd book, one of the things that I wanted to do was take you back to a time before Amber Alert, to take you back to a time when we weren't as advanced with law enforcement and
Right.
things of that nature, and to see how they were able to handle those things, what they did.
Right. Okay, I'm watching my director to see if there's anything we're not doing. We definitely want people to see everything regarding you, and it's on the screen. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to shoot her an email, and you will be able to check out her webpage also and find out what's going on. I was just double checking with my director to see if there's anything I was doing, but I see that he just brought my notes back to me. Thank you so much. Katie Anna, the last show that we did was awesome, and this show right here is mainly to show you how her passion has gone from being a book to possibly a movie and opening doors. Let's talk about some of those doors that have been opened up for you, that's gotten you to where you are before we actually show them the trailer.
Sure. The last time that we spoke, Sudie, God has just opened doors as far as speaking opportunities in churches, in schools, to discuss these things, to talk about these very, very hard topics, but ones we don't need to be afraid of. When we had mentioned in the last interview, we close our eyes to it, but it's still happening. And then we invest lots and lots of money into things that aren't preventative measures. And so we have hurt children becoming hurt adults and running the country, and that's not okay. And then we all know that abuse is most oftentimes cyclical. So we need to do a better job of educating. We need to do a better job of awareness. We need to do a better job of having programs, and we are doing a better job of it, but having programs that make children and even adults now who have suffered from that and who are now ready to share, giving them the avenue to do so, and thus beginning the healing process.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of people that believe in the vision that you have, and I was kind of going over some of the old notes. So why don't you share some of the people who's endorsed this idea to take it further than just a book?
Well, I've actually had quite a few, and am followed on social media by those who have voices that can get that out there in the media, can get that out on a broader base. And what's so amazing is it's really begun a movement beyond me, and it was always more than me. It's never been about me. It is God using me to be a voice to those who have none. So it's begun this movement where I've gone to so many places that have said, I've heard about you. Thank you for what you do. Those that have been hurt, those that have family that's been hurt, and those that just want to prevent others from being hurt.
All right, so inside your books, it's actually facts that you've incorporated and written a story of fiction. How would you classify what's inside of your book? Based on truth, but created?
Yes, I don't pull any punches when it comes to what is truly happening in the world. But I don't do it where it is specifically directed to any particular event that has happened. However, the situations are very real, are currently going on, and we can do so much more to make a difference.
Well, it's been 2 years since you've been sitting at this table, so what is it that you're not saying that maybe you'd like to share now?
Well, we're storyboarding the first book, and after we show the trailer, I'll go into a little bit more that has transpired after that. But the third book that I've written should be out later this year, and I'm excited about that, and have also almost finished the fourth book. So I'm headed to a book conference in Nashville, and there's many other speaking engagements in the future that I know that God is just moving, and He's going to have something amazing happen, and I'm looking forward to that.
I think that it's probably time to run that trailer so we can get into those.
Absolutely. So what I want to do is we're going to show for the audience the trailer that we did. Now, this is not the official film trailer. I want to make that notation. But this is one to present for that as the script is being written.
And the viewing audience age?
I will tell you that it is graphic because this second book deals with a kidnapping. So it is very graphic material, but it is very real. When you're on social media and you see a child is missing, and it asks you please to share, please understand that this trailer is giving you a bird's eye view of seeing the kind of horrific situation that children may be in at this very present moment. So what we did was we're showing this trailer, and it's showing you where he is at this time. So leading up to it, this young boy, Aiden, has been kidnapped. And so you're going to see what they're doing in order to try to find him, that urgency. So we're setting the scene from the initial part of the book, and you can roll that clip.
She said roll it.
Bye, Aiden. Love you. See you after practice.
If you ain't found him in 48 hours, you ain't gonna find him.
Well, that should give you a little idea of what Just Find Me is about. So let's go into sharing with the viewing audience how you went about even thinking of this idea. What started it? Who got involved? Where was this done? Your time to shine. Go ahead.
Well, originally, I wasn't even thinking of it being a movie. I was still doing book signings and things of that nature, and I was approached by a producer who said, you know, I'm interested, show me what you have. And I reached out to the talent of one of my brothers, amazing, and another gentleman as well. And we decided we would film kind of south in the Henry area, and so we began putting that together, and then sitting, praying about it, and editing, and so we were able to.
How long ago
see
did
that.
you start the filming project that we just saw? About how long?
About 2 or 3 months ago, if not a little bit longer.
Did you have in your mind a visual of what each character should look like? And how did you go about finding the person to play the part?
I did. I think that's one of the great things about being an author is because when you're writing, you see that character. That person is very much alive to you in your mind. And so at that point, we chose people, we casted people that we felt kind of made that niche for the time being. Now, that's not to say that once it's cast, as far as a feature film, that won't change dramatically. But for the trailer itself, this was very, very God-ordered.
For those out there that have fantastic stories that they have not shared and perhaps would love to share in this area of interest, who would you lead them to if they need to talk about something that they would feel safe talking about their abuse? I'm throwing this question at you. As a child advocate, whatever age, if it's a child, is there any certain organization that you are led to share that they could go to a safe place and let the people know that they're being abused?
Yes, there's actually, thankfully, numerous sites. If they go on my website, I make sure to send links directly, whether it's thoughts of suicide, whether it's abuse hotlines. Everything is confidential whatsoever. They can approach me at any time. I make myself available. However, the professionals that do handle that,
Right.
their links are all on my website to make sure, and there are great local areas here as well. CASA does amazing work.
CASA I am familiar with. Do they
Faith
cover
House.
just children, or is there other organizations on your site for adults?
Well, Faith House and many other
Yeah.
sites.
Okay.
So it's, even though I'm a child advocate, I'm an advocate against abuse, all forms.
All forms.
Whatsoever.
Okay.
So I make sure that there are links that not only just include children, but include anybody who is in danger, who feels threatened. They can reach out to those sources. Absolutely.
Okay, and that website would be www.carriesimonauthor.com. Spelling Carrie, Carrie. There you go, it's up on the screen. So if you have any questions, that's her website, and you can just ask the questions there, or perhaps find the area that you need to search out and get your answer. I briefly mentioned in the last interview that I do understand what it's like to be able to try to reach out and have someone believe you when you try to tell them as a child what's going on. And I'm excited to know that you are part of CASA, which is something I would love to get and, really become deeply involved in. But I haven't yet. But that's now that I've got time, it's on my to-do list to try to see what, and if anything, I could be a part of to help the children, which is where my heart is. But like you, any form of abuse is not acceptable. Well, Carrie, that was an awesome trailer, and I know that God is just doing so many wonderful things and opening so many doors for you. It's to keep in prayer to know which ones to go through and which ones to shut, So I'm looking at the director in between. He's kind of hard to see, but I think we said 44 minutes left. There you go. Thank you.
Well, one of the things that was just truly awesome to me was going to a ladies' prayer and paint meeting, and I'm just painting with the other ladies, and so I introduced myself, and this is after we had filmed the movie trailer, and just kind of making connections, being a little bit unfamiliar with the ropes as far as filmmaking is concerned, because at the end of the day I am an author. And so I introduced myself to one of the ladies, and she tells me her name, and I tell her what I do, and she says, "Do you know my husband directs and writes screenplays?"
Wow.
And I thought, now, there is no way without God
That's right.
that this is possible. And so God made a way for that also. And we've discussed the workings of a screenplay now. And I'm just so excited about that.
Just happens. No, it's all planned by God each step of the way. Each step of the way. Anytime something wonderful like that happens, I go, okay, God, I know that I know. And it's amazing because doors that you hadn't even thought about get opened up to you. And then when you do get approached, then you know by that time it is of God. Well, with the end of the show getting to like 3 minutes in the show, what would you like to send out there as your heart's desire to go from here?
Well, for one, I want to encourage everyone that they can make a difference. No matter how small or big it is, you can. The second thing is that God really, truly wants to use us all. There is nothing so significant about me that is greater than anyone else. The difference with us is whether or not we're willing. And the children of this world are heartbroken. They need a voice. And we can do so much more.
Save them all, just find me. And a third book and almost fourth book. What's the name of the third book?
The third book is called Maker of Difference. And this one is not a thriller. However, it is a strong message of fighting against suicide, which has become so prevalent in our youth these days, feeling like they don't matter, feeling like their voice doesn't matter, their opinion doesn't matter, and they have not truly identified their worth, which those of us that know is not based on what you have or who you're around, but who you are in God.
And can you kind of tell us a little bit about the title of the fourth book?
The fourth one is actually an autobio being done for a former NFL player and ex-Marine, or still a Marine, just not on active duty. And so I'm looking forward to that because it's an inspirational story about how you can rise to fame, but is really knowing your worth in God that we truly find success.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show today. We're getting to the end, and even though the rolling credits are going to start rolling in a minute, say whatever's on your heart. If you're led to say anything particular, just keep talking because it is recording. But I want to thank you for coming and sharing and updating us of what the Lord has done and what He's doing, what He's going to do, and that you'll have many, many doors opened to you by God. And if God opens them, nobody's going to shut them, right?
Thank you.
That's
because we know that there are no accidents in life, only opportunities. So I cannot thank you enough for being who you are and for having me here and for believing in something so much greater than us that needs to be dealt with if we're willing.
And the truth shall set us all free.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Katiana, for tuning in. If you have something you'd like to share, a vision, a dream, just contact us through AOC or the email that you see at the end of the rolling credits, praisemusicproduction@cox.net. Today we had Carrie Simone. She has gone from author to child advocate to future writer of a movie. I'm going to plug it anyway. And she has 2 books, Just Save Them All, and Just Find Me. Just Find Me is in the process of becoming a movie. Until then, be blessed and give us the inside of the story that you have to share.